Welcome to this segment from the Europe's Innovation Gap: Why the EU Trails the US and East Asia in Tech series. To make this deep dive more accessible, I've broken the full video into smaller, focused chapters. If you're interested in the full story, from overregulation to the rise of unicorn startups, you can find the complete video on my channel. Today, we are talking about Chapter 1, Overregulation and the Precautionary Principle. Why does Europe have so much regulation, and is it holding back innovation? Let's break it down in this chapter.
Overregulation and the precautionary principle, a double-edged sword.
Europe is often seen as the world's regulatory trendsetter, prioritizing privacy, safety, and ethics. These values gave birth to landmark laws like the GDPR, data privacy, the upcoming AI Act, governing artificial intelligence, and MiCA, crypto assets regulation. The philosophy is noble: protect citizens and avoid risks. But has overregulation made Europe a safe but sterile sandbox for tech? According to tech policy experts, excessive regulation has played a major role in Europe's lagging competitiveness. The EU's approach is driven by the precautionary principle, essentially, better safe than sorry. New technologies are often met with strict rules to preempt harm. For instance, the 2018 GDPR imposes stringent limits on data use and heavy compliance burdens. This has global influence on privacy standards, but also unintended consequences for innovation. Startups and AI ventures thrive on data, and GDPR greatly limits the flow of data to innovative upstarts who need it most to compete, leaving only the largest companies who can afford to comply to control most of the market. In other words, big tech firms, mostly American, can handle the compliance costs, but smaller European players struggle, potentially cementing the dominance of Google and Facebook rather than fostering European rivals. How bad is it? Studies now suggest GDPR has been a disaster for Europe in terms of business formation, competition, and investment. One analysis found that just 2 of the world's 30 largest technology firms by market cap are from the EU, and only 5 of the 100 most promising AI startups are based in Europe. In 2020, private funding of AI startups in Europe, $4 billion, was dwarfed by the US, $36 billion, and China, $25 billion. Europe's stringent data rules, while protecting privacy, may have handcuffed its AI innovators, a classic example of good intentions with a costly trade-off. And now, the EU is adding a new AI Act, a sweeping law for AI ethics safety, which critics worry could further burden European AI companies. Beyond data and AI, the ideological bent of EU policy often emphasizes caution over competition. Europe's antitrust and competition policies frequently block large mergers and frown on national champions. Unlike China, which openly nurtures tech giants, or the US, which allowed its FAANG companies to grow largely unchecked for years, the EU historically avoided favoritism toward big firms. The result? The EU came away from the digital revolution with the complete absence of superstar companies, as 2 scholars put it. There is no European Google, Amazon, or Alibaba, even though Europeans are avid users of those services. Europe essentially invented the mobile phone, Nokia, Ericsson, and the web, Tim Berners-Lee's invention, yet American and Asian firms capitalized on them. Some economists directly link this outcome to Europe's policy choices. What has been the outcome of EU policy in limiting entrepreneurial activity? The United States and China dominate the platform landscape. Europe plays a marginal role. Moreover, the excessively preventive legislative style in Europe means that by the time a new tech is regulated, years of bureaucracy may have passed. Fast-moving startups can't wait that out. So many either launch elsewhere or remain small to avoid regulatory scrutiny. This is compounded by Europe's national-level regulations. 27 countries, often with their own rules, on top of EU directives. A French fintech startup expanding to Germany faces not just a language barrier, but a legal maze. As the Draghi Commission's 2022 report noted, this heterogeneity of rules makes it hard for tech firms to scale up, often making it more comfortable for them to stay small, within one market. In short, Europe's regulatory zeal cuts both ways. It leads the world in ethical tech governance, a role many admire, but may inadvertently smother homegrown innovation. The precautionary principle in Europe can act like a powerful seatbelt that prevents accidents, but also keeps the vehicle from accelerating. Meanwhile, the US embraces a permissionless innovation ethos, move fast, break things, and China often uses a growth-first, regulate-later approach, giving their companies more freedom to experiment and scale. Case in point, Europe accounts for only 3% of the total market value of the world's top 100 platforms versus 66% for the US. The EU has plenty of brilliant innovators, but its policy climate often clips their wings before they can fly. If you found this chapter interesting, consider watching the full deep dive, where I cover everything from Europe's startup gap to case studies comparing the EU, US, and Asia. You'll find the link in the description. And hey, if you like this kind of content, smash that like button, subscribe for more deep dives, and let me know your thoughts in the comments. Cheers, and see you in the next one.